Good afternoon everyone, and right now I'm in one of the extremities of Little India in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and I thought it's been ages since I've done a walk and squawk, so why don't I walk you through Little India as far as I can get. And I want to talk about programmable banking, programmable money and DeFi. So let's do it. It's fairly clear today and it's not raining, which is always a good sign. So most of us that are involved in crypto and the crypto sector already know what programmable money and DeFi are, but you probably haven't heard about programmable banking. So what is programmable banking? Well, essentially it gives superpowers to your bank accounts. It enables I think what it does is it essentially eliminates the friction of using your bank account for commerce. So for example, as a small business, if I wanted to accept payments into my bank account, if I wanted to do KYC, AML, all of these things require third-party integrations. You know, I'd have to pay for and integrate with a KYC provider, for example. I'd have to have my own technology stack which integrates in my bank account using my bank's API, and I would build all of these ancillary systems. So any fintech out there, if you're starting from scratch building your platform, you spend an awful amount of time in commercial negotiations, building out against these APIs, testing them, all of these things, and then finally you get your application stack together and you can do something quite reasonable with it. Well, with programmable banking, it eliminates that friction, is the way of describing it. So what you would do if you had a fully programmable bank account is that you could apply a programmable banking app that would do the KYC for you, or you would apply a programmable banking app that would process your card payments. Think of any API that you would integrate with. A programmable banking app could be applied instead directly to your bank account. Now, what are the advantages of that? There are many, I think, and they're quite revolutionary. Firstly, obviously time to market for your business goes down, the expenses goes down, you don't have to hire an engineering team or outsource. Programmable banking enables you to take an existing application and ideally with minimum integration effort be able to apply it to your account and get up and running. So there are literally hundreds of use cases for programmable banking, and you don't necessarily want to be boiling the ocean if you can avoid it. So what we're going to try and do is we've looked at a number of the use cases which we've broken down into two types really: back office applications for programmable banking and then front office applications. So what's the difference between the two? I would characterize the back office applications for programmable banking as really cost center efficiencies. By the way, this is my local over here, this place. I'll be back there for a beer later. Oh, and Walter, I know you like the shirt so much, so I wore it just for you. Yeah, so back office programmable banking use cases deliver cost center efficiencies. So things that would have taken you a lot of time and money to manage, like treasury and liquidity functions, payroll is another common example. All of those I would term as back office, and programmable banking applications could be used to essentially provide that functionality directly onto your bank account. Then there are the stuff that really excites me is the front office applications of programmable banking, and specifically where they integrate with things like DeFi, where they start using DeFi capabilities, because then you're essentially creating new products and services that can be applied directly to your bank account that integrate with DeFi seamlessly. One of the ways that I like to describe programmable banking is that it's really the UX UI for DeFi that we need, that we don't have today. And I'm sure, look, retail applications and wallets are getting better all the time at giving access to DeFi protocols to ordinary people. But for institutions, I think we need far better solution. And again, this is where I would say that if you could apply a programmable banking app that connected to various smart contracts that fulfill your business objective, that is the fastest and best way of getting exposure to DeFi for an institution. So one of the things that we wanted to do when we looked at all of the potential use cases for programmable banking is to select one use case, a really simple one, that would prove the concept end to end. And I think we've settled on attestation of bank balances as potentially our first programmable banking app. And when I say our, I'm talking about a new company that we just incorporated called X Algorithmic in London. And we will be initially focusing on delivering programmable banking applications on the first bank in the world to be truly programmable, which is Bank. So attestation, simply being able to confirm the balance of your account on a blockchain. I think that proves end to end that we can build a programmable banking app that can be applied to your bank account, that will then integrate with at least one, but maybe multiple blockchains, in order to attest to your bank account. So it sounds pretty simple, and I think it probably is, but the devil's in the detail. We're going to spend quite a long time fleshing out exactly the product specifications for this thing. And then I hope that we can start working on the actual implementation maybe in the next month or so. But yeah, it's really exciting to look at what programmable banking can do in conjunction with programmable money and DeFi. I mean, with respect to programmable money, most people think of that as any smart contract crypto asset can be programmable money, but most of the time it's CBDCs, wholesale and retail CBDCs, where you can program in some Orwellian functionality. But as I've stated in the past, you know, you can also potentially have CBDCs programmed not to pay civil servants who haven't performed properly. So there's always a double-edged sword here. I think we can use programmable money to hold the state to account, but at the end of the day, love it or loathe it, CBDCs are a technology that have been let loose. The genie is out of the bottle, and then how you want to deal with that is entirely down to you. It's a societal decision. I think programmable money and programmable banking are a very interesting combination, because the disbursement of CBDCs by a central bank could be made even simpler than direct issuance onto a blockchain. If you imagine commercial banks with programmable bank accounts that can interact directly with smart contracts, that would reduce the friction of issuing CBDCs to commercial banks. So I don't think you can ignore that use case. I think it's something that exists, there's demand for it, and potentially something that we will build in the future quite soon. I mean, what I would be really interested in, and I invite feedback from everyone on this, is if you had a programmable bank account, what processes would you consider simplifying, standardizing and automating with a programmable banking app that could be applied to that account? I mean, conceptually, we're thinking that the programmable banking apps themselves would live in a store. Obviously, these applications deal directly with money, so they would have to be rigorously tested. They would have to be certified, essentially. And I would almost think as well that the cost that's associated with publishing a programmable banking app to a store, some of that should be used as insurance for the broader community. So if something went wrong with that programmable app for a particular user, that we can ensure the loss. So I think that's another interesting notion around the actual deployment mechanics of a programmable banking app that is well worth considering. What are the other things that I had on my mind around this? Bear with me one moment. Let's just negotiate this bit here, and hopefully you can see what's behind me there. Take a moment to look around. It's going to get a little bit loud here. It's all part of the charm. I have to say, actually, Kuala Lumpur has some pretty amazing food. Can't go too far wrong. So I haven't had a bad meal yet, and it's been pretty cheap as well. It's a great place to eat. Let's see the other side of the street here. I'll just walk a little bit further before I finish this one off, as we're already at 11 minutes, over 11 minutes. So just to reiterate, programmable banking, programmable money and DeFi, putting these three together is what I think is going to actually catalyze the creation of a new financial system. One that actually is